I mean, the reason that I went into therapy was because I felt numb or angry. Those were the two things that I experienced, and it freaked me out because a friend of mine told me something really hard that was going on in their life, and I felt I wouldn't even have had the language, but I didn't feel anything towards them. I didn't feel empathy is really what it was.
Welcome to 3%. We're your hosts, Jamie Haig.
And I'm Blake Roberts.
We're two best friends, fathers, husbands, and just two guys trying to figure it out.
We're also therapists, which is probably a pretty important part.
That's true.
And we believe that at our best, people are 97% honest with themselves and others. And it's that hidden 3% of emotions, needs, desires, and behaviors that we keep to ourselves that keep us bound to shame and loneliness, from which many of our issues stem.
Each week on this podcast, we'll interview leaders in the fields of psychology, theology, arts, and athletics to explore holistic masculinity. We're not here to tell you the man you need to be, but we are here to help you explore what gets in the way of being the man you want to be.
We're going to help you develop courage and give you the tools to share your 3% in the relationships that matter most so you can more deeply connect with yourself, God, and others. So, pull up a chair.
Let's get into it.
So let's be honest. Let's be honest. Let's be honest.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to this week's episode. This is part 2 of the AI mental health series that we're doing, where Jamie and I have now replaced AI. And so you no longer have to ask ChatGPT questions. You can just come to us because we actually have more accurate answers than AI does. And we don't use water.
That's right.
I mean, we drink water, but
Barely.
barely.
In comparison, like we are underhydrating ourselves and AI is using way too much water. So it's like a net win.
ChatGPT is way more hydrated than us.
That's right.
Which is probably not a good joke because I think it's actually kind of an issue.
It's water. Yeah, it's a big issue.
Okay, but that's not what we're talking about today. If you listen to the first episode of this series, we laid kind of the foundation or the groundwork of what we're going to do with this series, where we look at the most asked questions to AI regarding mental health, and we give you a human answer.
That's right.
And in the first episode, go back and listen to it because it was pretty interesting. We actually covered a really in-depth study that we went over some research and some data around how AI is being used for mental health support, that it's the largest mental health support thing out there right now. Like 13 million people are using it for mental health related questions.
Yeah.
And
which is 8 times larger than the VA, which is the second largest provider.
which is just wild. And so, we are going to do our attempt to answer some of these questions because we know that there are questions that you guys are asking to yourselves if you're not asking to AI or you're thinking about, and we want to bring a more human approach to it.
That's right. And as one of the members of the Basement community pointed out to us, AI is really just taking like tokens, is what they're called.
Yeah.
And building what it thinks would be the next appropriate token after each other. So it like builds this Lego set of what it thinks you want to hear. And so you can get varied responses.
Yeah.
Within AI, you can get things that feel helpful, but maybe a hallucination is what they call them. So we want
Or just overly affirming and not challenging at all. And
they can just end up keeping you in a loop. Not to say that AI can't be helpful. I think we made that point in the last episode. If you want to hear more about that, go back to that first one. Today, we are specifically addressing one question, and that's what we'll be doing the rest of the series.
Yeah.
So there'll be maybe slightly shorter episodes, but we'll be addressing one specific question. And in this case, the number one, what it calls an entry point question on ChatGPT. So basically what it's saying is the question that starts the rest of the questions that a male asks is,
why is Jamie the way he is?
Yeah, that's what they ask. They're like, so they can't get enough. They're listening to 3% podcast. They go to chat and they're like, why is he the way he is? Like in a positive way.
I don't think that's what my finding says,
Well,
but
I asked Chad, and it was very affirming.
Chad GPT.
Chad. But the number one entry point question is, why am I always angry?
What a question.
Yeah. A super common one that even like, if I think about the emails that you and I get for like a consult.
Yeah.
Often a lot of the men who come to see me, I won't speak for you, but you tell me if this is true for you too. A lot of the men who come to see me are behaviorally referred by their spouse. Right? Or like they're at the end of their rope behaviorally.
Yeah.
Often it's not they're at the end of their rope emotionally.
Yeah.
It's more like, hey, this fell apart, so I think I need to talk to somebody and figure that out or check off a box.
I mean, what's the thing that you've said it before when you first went into therapy?
Oh yeah. I mean, the reason that I went into therapy was because I felt numb or angry. Those were the two things that I experienced, and it freaked me out because a friend of mine told me something really hard that was going on in their life, and I felt I wouldn't even have had the language, but I didn't feel anything towards them. I didn't feel empathy is really what it was. And I think the reality was because not I'm an emotionless creature, but because I didn't allow myself to feel any of my emotions, so I felt cut off from them.
Which is, it's so crazy to think about and to be your friend for so long and to see like you cry so easily now. And I say that in a good way.
I'm a crybaby.
Like, meaning like you're so moved by empathy.
Yeah.
And by connection that it literally brings tears in just like a normal conversation.
Yeah, I think, sorry for messing with my mic a ton here. I'm like trying to look over and see Blake and realizing I set up my chair poorly. I think the reason for that is because I was working so hard to disconnect from my emotions. Not because I was emotionless. I think I have always been who I am now. I just had to shed the layers that were getting in the way of being this deeply emotional creature that I definitely am.
Yeah.
So
why are men so angry?
Yeah.
Why am I so angry?
Yeah.
That's what men are asking.
Yeah.
Good thing I know the answer.
Okay, tell me the answer.
It's complicated.
Yeah.
No, obviously there's no one answer that we would say. When I hear that question, one of the ways I talk about anger in session with people is that it is the emotion, if we're looking at, like, let's just even say the 8 core emotions: anger, fear, sad, hurt, shame, guilt, lonely, and glad.
Dude, you nailed that.
Yeah, thanks, dude. It's not like I talk about it every day with people. I actually am pretty impressed. I just remembered because usually I'm like, there's only 7. What's the other one?
I always forget 1 or 2.
It's a list of core emotions that we use a lot. And you may have seen a similar list in therapy. And what I'll always talk about is how anger on that specific list is the one emotion that gives us the illusion that we have control more than any of the others.
Ooh.
When I say the illusion, because it, like, let's say if you are in a fight with your spouse and the dominant emotion that you're feeling in that moment is anger, like physically, even as I'm talking about it, like my fists are clenching and like the physical sensation of anger feels like you have more power.
Yeah.
Like you're more in control. The others are more of a posture of surrender. So I think one reason why we feel so angry all the time is because we don't know how to surrender to our own powerlessness.
Ooh. Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Because to be sad, for example, is to surrender to the powerlessness of that feeling, because sadness opens you up. It's more an open posture and you're kind of reliant on the other person and how they're going to receive that or receive you. But if you're just angry, then I have more control of keeping my distance and my perception of you.
Yeah, like expressing an emotion that I think that brings up another part of why am I so angry that we might be misinterpreting. That's, I think, what you're alluding to. We're misinterpreting other emotions as well, but that anger might be showing up because those other emotions don't feel safe to you.
Yeah.
And so those other emotions are incredibly vulnerable, like you're saying. If I open myself up with my sadness and you reject me, then that's a much greater loss.
Yeah.
Not that I necessarily, I'll speak for me, I don't think I was attuned to the fact that I was experiencing sadness or fear or shame. I experienced all of them as anger. And that's, I think that comes down to what was cultivated in you with your emotional awareness. So for me particularly, I didn't necessarily see this vast array of emotions in my life, like growing up from most men I was around. I didn't see appropriate sadness. I didn't see appropriate fear. I saw anger, plenty.
Yep.
I think if you want to hear more about that, we have an episode with Young Yi from the last season, of things called "What If Anger Isn't the Problem?"
Yep. Yeah, it's the iceberg. It's the tip of the iceberg.
There it is. Yeah.
And there's usually more vulnerable emotions underneath that, which, like, I'll say from my perspective, I am more of the stereotypical people pleaser, avoid conflict, really uncomfortable with other people's anger, but also my own anger.
Yeah.
And so I would suppress it. And even like in my teenage, college years, like I would not have been considered an angry person. It would come out in sports, but it would be so contained for so long. And then out of nowhere, it just would like come out hot. And it can still happen that way.
Yeah. Like you would be performing, I guess, a lack of anger.
Yeah. Like I just wasn't connected to my own anger because I didn't see that modeled well, and it wasn't fostered in me. And I was maybe scared of my own anger because other people growing up were scared of my own anger.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And it was like perceived in ways that maybe weren't accurate. And so I didn't even know that I was angry.
Well, and in that same vein, like if anger is the only emotional outlet you have, then you were kind of experiencing what I was naming earlier, which is like, I'm getting by.
Yeah.
And I look happy.
Mm-hmm.
But if anger is your only outlet for emotion, then the only emotion you're going to display when you feel something, you might name what you're feeling as overwhelm, and then it comes out as anger.
Yeah.
Because it's the only emotional outlet you have connection to. Yeah. And I mean, again, maybe that's something we should ask Ben Zobrist about if, when we get to talk to him again, of like, do we think that that's a larger theme of like the connection to athletics?
Oh yeah. That's sports. Yeah, for sure.
Like I get to express rage even in athletics, and it's supposed to be appropriate there.
Yep.
I think one of the things that I hope men can hear with this question, because it's a really vulnerable question, right? And even so like Google Trends said that male specific mental health questions grew by 39% last year. So what a like beautiful thing that men are curious about what to do with their pain.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to get to that. Like men are curious about their mental health.
Yeah.
and they're taking that right now to Google, but that's what a courageous first step. And what I would want men to know is that your anger is not necessarily a problem with you. It's not dysfunction.
Mm-hmm.
It's the way that we use it. I've probably said this on the podcast before, but I see it more as like a red flag,
Yeah.
like data. This is saying something else is going on within me. And I think the question needs to shift away from what's wrong with me to what's going on within me.
Yeah.
And our anger is a really helpful, big signal of something inside has come to the end of himself.
Yeah.
Like some young part of me probably
Yeah.
has come to the end of his rope. He's had it, and I'm not paying attention to it.
Yeah. Stringing my attention.
Yeah.
What do you think? Yeah. I mean, one of the things I also say a lot, and that's been really helpful for me, is that anger, and you actually taught me this, Jimmy. I used to say that emotions are not positive or negative. They're just neutral. And you actually kind of helped me change my perspective in that maybe actually all emotions are positive.
Yeah.
In the example that you use of them being, that you heard from somebody, that you think of our emotions like our sixth sense.
Yeah. Dr. John Cox.
Taste, sight, sound, smell, touch. All of those senses are inherently gifts. What I eat can be good or bad for me. What I touch can be helpful or harmful.
Yeah.
So thinking of emotions in that same,
any of those experiences also can be, even if they're not harmful, they can be uncomfortable. Like I can see something that I don't want to be seeing.
Yeah.
I can
Right.
touch something that feels slimy and gross and uncomfortable.
Yeah.
I can hear something that I wish I wouldn't have heard, but that doesn't make my sense of hearing, sight, or touch a problem.
Right. But the ability to sense those things is a gift.
Right.
So the ability to have emotion is a gift. So therefore anger is a gift. And a lot of us, I think, maybe it's sort of even in this question to AI, there's this negative view we have on anger, and that it's bad and we need to not experience it anymore. Like we just need to calm down more. We need to be less reactive. We need to not be so angry. And like, yes, that's true, but it's really not, we're not saying that we need to be less angry because the anger isn't bad, but maybe I need to change the way that I react to my anger.
Mm-hmm.
And so one of the things I'll say is that I didn't say this, somebody else came up with this, but the impairment of anger, so like if we have to use this word, the negative side of it, impact of anger is rage. It's like if I don't have a healthy connection with my anger, I rage. I also think that an unhealthy connection to anger can lead to depression.
Yeah, totally agree.
Because the gift of anger is that it tells me what I'm passionate about, what I care about, what's important to me.
Mm.
So therefore, it helps me advocate for what I need.
Right.
So to what you're saying of maybe there's this, I'm so angry because there's this younger part of me that is trying to get my attention. Maybe I'm so angry, and I've experienced this in my life in certain seasons, even recently, where the anger is so strong because it's an invitation for me to advocate for myself, right, or for somebody else, in a way that I hadn't experienced before.
Totally. Yeah, and I would say, like, just to give a really practical example from me too, because you just gave one for you. I have noticed that my anger lately, there have been some like hard conversations I've had to have with people lately.
What?
Yeah, a lot of them. And not specifically in one topic, kind of varied things with people that I love and cherish. And my anger has come up primarily when I'm thinking about those conversations. But then I have to invite myself into curiosity about what is that anger saying? And I think the reality of what...
We did it this morning.
Yeah, I did.
We were having a conversation and I didn't even catch it. And you were like talking about this person. And then you had this moment of like, oh, wow, I'm pretty angry right now. And it wasn't like an indictment or a judgment on yourself, but you had this curiosity of like, the anger that I feel toward this person right now doesn't match the situation.
Yeah.
So this probably is indicating that it's about something else and I'm projecting it onto this person.
And what it indicated about something else was that I'm sad about how much confrontation I'm having to do with people that I love. I'm sad for what is going on in their lives. I'm sad for the parts of me that have to stand that ground. And I'm also proud of those parts of me. And some of my value of those parts of me is coming out as anger.
Yeah.
Because it's like too much energy.
Yeah.
That's something else I would want people to know. Like if you have so much energy towards even like what we would traditionally think of as a positive feeling.
Yeah.
That can still come out as anger because it's that we don't know how to appropriately express that part of us. It's like Dan Allender said in this month's episode with Dan and Rachel Clinton Chin, that I can acknowledge the brokenness in me. It's harder for me to acknowledge the beauty that already resides in me. That'll come out as anger too.
Yep.
Because we want to be protected, dismissive of even the beautiful parts of us. So then they just stack on top of the things that are already hard. And all of that kind of builds into this iceberg. That's a therapy term that it's a common therapy thing to talk about, the anger iceberg. I know we mentioned it on here last year. That 10% of an iceberg is shown above the waterline, 90% is below the waterline, and the 10% that we see of that iceberg is the anger. The 90% is all the other things going on with it.
Yeah.
And so I think part of that 90% doesn't have to necessarily be sadness, fear, any of these like uncomfortable emotional experiences.
Yeah. It also just kind of dawned on me while you were talking that so many of us experience a lack of compassion toward our anger. Self-compassion and other compassion from others. Like, right? Even when I think about my kids, I have kids, but really only one of them. Well, that's not true. I get angry at both of them. That's true. One just has more ability to, she's not intentionally making me angry, but whatever. What I'm trying to say is, even with my toddler, when she is embodying anger, it's so hard for me sometimes to like see through it and to remember all this stuff that we're talking about, that I talk about every day with people. Like, something else is going on in her. This is how her body's reacting, or how her nervous system is responding to it. And if I can be compassionate even toward the way her anger is coming out, a co-regulation can happen, and I can help her kind of get in touch with, even as a almost 3-year-old, what is happening, what is really going on beneath the anger.
Yes.
And so many of us didn't have that or don't have that. And so then the behavior of the anger is just corrected and there's no connection.
Right.
So then we reenact the same pattern and just correct and judge our own anger and don't look at the broader picture. Like, I was just sitting here and I'm kind of looking out the window and I'm reflecting on this question again. Why am I so angry? And it's like, well, have you like looked at the world right now?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
And this is where the compassion can come in. Of course we're so angry.
Oh, my favorite phrase, dude. No, of course.
Not even just our own story, but everything that is externally happening at a systemic level in your faith community, in the culture, in the larger system that we're involved in. Like, there is so much to be angry about. And in some ways, so little we can do with all the stuff that we're angry about.
Right.
So there's this individual, we're talking about this like individual level of our stories that play a part in us being so angry. I just also think we have to also acknowledge there's this broader systemic level of stuff outside of us that also plays into why we're so angry.
Yeah, that you were never really designed for the level of awareness.
Yeah, that's such a great point. Like I'm so angry because I have a new cell phone. And I just see stuff every day
Yeah.
that just is like pouring fire on the gasoline of my anger. And it's like, yeah, I wasn't meant to see that in the 5 minutes that I was in between sessions.
You were meant for relationships that you could have impact on.
Yeah.
And there are plenty of parasocial relationships now that we all have that we have no impact on.
Yep.
And in that way, that can be subtly traumatizing, but at the very least,
Yeah.
it's igniting of our emotional world.
Right.
And if we have not cultivated within ourselves the ability to navigate and name the emotions that arise in our bodies, then of course, again, compassionate, of course, that's going to come out as anger.
Yeah.
And, interestingly, I was just looking through what ChatGPT says about, like, why am I so angry?
Oh, yeah. What its response is.
And one of the things is you're not losing control. You've just never been taught control. And this is why you don't take it to ChatGPT. There's not a version of control that happens with your emotions.
Yeah.
There's giving your emotions, if you personify them as like younger parts of you, there's giving them the space to be in safety.
Mm.
And as they can be in safety, they can be regulated. And as they're regulated, your relationship to them will be different. But it's not like we're going, hey, let me grab this young kid part of me and force him to stop.
Which is a lot of what people have experienced.
A lot of those people have experienced, and probably a lot of how we treat ourselves.
Yeah.
And one of the ways, like practically, that I'm trying to change this with my son is whenever he gets really angry, I'll say, hey, buddy, it's okay to be mad, but it's not okay to be what? And I have taught him that he's allowed to be angry. He's not allowed to be mean. And so I'll say, it's okay to be mad, but it's not okay to be what? And he'll say, mean. I'll say, well, what can we do with our anger? And he can ask for help with his anger, which means he can come sit with me and I'll hold him and we'll breathe. Or he can take a deep breath and count to 4, which, shout out Daniel Tiger, is a regulation for kids from Daniel Tiger. What's amazing is, like, I don't treat myself with that level of compassion.
Yeah, right.
And I'm trying so hard with my son. And what makes it hard to do it with my son, because don't let me paint a picture that I do that perfectly with my son. I try to do that with my son.
Yeah.
But what makes it hard to do it with my son is when I'm not naming my inner world, when I'm not naming what I'm bringing to it, when I don't stop and say, hey, buddy, I'm sorry for that reaction. Your dad got angry because I couldn't control what you were doing.
Mm.
And when I can do those things, that's actually compassion for me, because I wasn't designed to control what my son does.
Yep.
I was designed to give him the space to feel safe so that he can learn to regulate. And I have to do that same thing for me so I can bring that safe posture in him. And like you said, you wrote about this on Substack like a couple of days ago. That all starts with self-compassion.
Yeah. Yep.
You have to be able to give yourself self-compassion to be able to pour it out to others.
Yeah.
And practically what I think self-compassion looks like is giving yourself the space to pause when you notice the red flag of anger. This is why we have that 4-step process.
Yep.
Pause, pray, process, express. Give yourself the space to pause and just go, what if anger's not the problem?
Mm-hmm.
Pause. Pray into that. Invite God into that emotion instead of asking him to get you to, I'm just name dropping everybody from the podcast. Instead of taking what Tanner Olson wrote a beautiful poem about, which is don't skip to the end of your anger.
Yeah.
Invite God into it. Process with a friend.
Yep.
Help take take the compassion from a friend to help you fill out what compassion you need. That's what you wrote.
Yep.
Oh, so beautiful.
Yeah.
Do you remember what you said?
Well, it was about shame, but I guess the same applies to anger, because I think there's actually an association there. When we don't deal with our shame, it just turns into anger and self-contempt toward ourselves. But I said, I've been thinking about how the antidote to shame is self-compassion, and how sometimes you can't have self-compassion until you experience the compassion from another. And you can't experience the compassion from another until you are honest and vulnerable about your shame with somebody else.
So good.
Just replace shame with anger. And I think the same could be true.
Allowing somebody to hold your 3%
Yep.
and give compassion to it
Yep.
might help those parts of you learn to have compassion for themselves.
All stuff.
That's what it did for us.
That's right.
That's why we're even here.
Hey, yo.
Yeah.
When you were just talking about how it shows up with your son, I think that was a great example and very practical. And it also reminded me, I'm just going to go ahead and put a little nugget out there, that our dear friend Eli Harwood, who is the attachment nerd on Instagram and really, really like one of the leading voices in creating secure attachment with your kids. She's written a couple books. She just came out with her newest one that you have to go back and listen to that episode. It's amazing. It's all about how to deal with your own stuff so that your kids don't have to deal with it.
So good.
So we are going to probably next month be doing a live training / workshop with her on specifically how to deal with your anger, which is why this whole episode wasn't even a promotion for this. I just was like, oh, you just get that example with your son.
Totally.
How to deal with your anger and your anxiety so your kids don't have to deal with that as much. So stay tuned.
Yeah. Because let us reiterate too that our goal for you is not to feel less anger.
Right.
Our goal for you is that you can attune to that differently so that you can feel safer with yourself and be a safe place for others.
Right. Yep.
If we were trying to have less of our emotions, that'd be a weird goal.
Yeah.
Because again, we think that emotions are a beautiful gift. It's just how we care for them and attune to them that we want to change. So.
Well said.
Anything else that you want to add to this one before we wrap?
That's good. Hop on the email list if you're not on there already, because whenever we have the details for that workshop, we'll send it out.
Yeah. Oh, and if you enjoy these Q&As, we do community-specific Q&As within the basement.
Yes.
So if you're like, oh, I like these Q&As, but I wish I could ask a specific question, you can. Just join our community on Substack.
Please. Come hang out with us in the basement.
Yeah, there you go. We're glad you're here, everyone. Keep showing up. You're worth it.
Hey, thanks for tuning in to another episode. Listen, we're working on some really practical resources to help you connect more deeply with yourself and others. So if you head over to our website, 3percentco.com, you can learn more about that. The link will be in the show notes. And this is the part of the show where we ask you for some help. Listen, we don't have a big fancy production team. We're recording these in my therapy office in between sessions and in the margins of our life. We just really believe in the message that much. I listen to a lot of podcasts, and rarely would I take the time to review and rate a show, just because honestly, I forgot. It wasn't until we started doing this show that I realized doing that actually really does help these platforms notice our show and get the word out. And so if any of this is impactful to you, we would love it if you took a second to leave us a review, rate us, or if you want to just do it the old-fashioned way, text this link to a friend and say, hey, let's talk about this episode. Whatever you do, make sure to follow us on whatever platform you're listening to so you never miss an episode. We're really grateful you're here, and we'll see you next week.
So let's be honest.